Hello everyone and welcome to the Knightsman Channel. What we got today is we've got the new game Cyberpunk 2077 which has just come out, and we're going to do a 2-hour verdict video on the life path of the street kid, which is super exciting. So we're just going to go through a small quick kind of rundown on how we've done through our 2-hour gameplay footage all the way through. So this is going to be a little bit of a review on whether this life path is worth picking. But before we crack on with the video, I'd just like to say a huge thank you to our sponsors, which is the developer CD Projekt Red. Thank you so much for hooking the channel up and allowing us to do this review for everyone out there. Because our videos are based around the life paths, I'm going to give you a quick breakdown or description of what a life path is, so you can make a good choice. So life paths are playable introductions to Cyberpunk 2077. They are less about building your character from a playstyle and stat perspective, and more about choosing the type of character you want to step into the shoes of. It's an important part of building your V, and which life path you want to experience is the first choice you make when starting the game. V has 3 potential backstories, each one of them giving you a taste of the dark future from a different status and perspective. Each life path features its own character, introduction quest, and starting locations. Your choice will most directly affect the beginning of the game, but you'll find longer term ramifications as you get deeper into Night City, including opening up specific dialogue options and new opportunities further down the line. So let's get into a small quick description of Street Kid. So the urban jungle better than most. You've got connections, street cred, and street smarts. You're resourceful and most importantly ambitious. Life's not easy, but it's one hell of a ride, and what a description that is. So that's one of the life paths which we've started off with, which is the street kid. Now I'm going to get into a little bit more of V, which is the character you will be and create. I'm going to use the background to your advantage. So if you've picked the street kid, then V's background helps you navigate your way around some of Night City's more rough cut residents, such as gang members that might be disrespectful to nomads or corporate people, pretty much outsiders. However, since you're from the streets, you've got that street knowledge, that's going to allow you to use it to your advantage and gain that information that you otherwise would have spent bullets to kind of get, which is pretty cool, which kind of allows you obviously to have a little bit of an easy time in the main city. So that's pretty cool. Now, we're going to go over feelings and thoughts about, all the different perks, leveling up systems, the street creds, which we've, played through in our first 2 hours. So, we're just going to run through kind of from start to finish over the 2 hours. So, starting off, we started building our character into the way we want, and now it's been such huge customization that you can go down and you can really develop and change the style of your character, which I like. I like the different style that Cyberpunk has brought to being able to customize your character. It's very futuristic, and as soon as we kind of had a little play around and created a character, we're off to go, and then V's story started from there. So when we first start, we pretty much have a meaty part of the prologue which we kind of thrust it into, and you start off in this beautiful bar area where you're in front of a mirror fixing your nose, and can straight off the bat really makes you feel like you've been brawling, you're from the streets, and it really sets that tone, that background with you being in that bar. So they've really done well capturing kind of the life path and how important it is to start kind of where you're from and your location. So they've done that very well. Now, one thing I would just like to point out is the detail in the game is unreal. Now, if you're playing on a PlayStation 5 or PC, I think you're going to have no worries. PlayStation 4 might be a little bit you know, slow sometimes or a little bit buggy, but with some patches hopefully coming out, you know, that's going to be fixed. But it did not deter me from going hard in my first 2 hours. So once we've thrusted into this bar scenario here, all the game's going to guide you towards is really just helping you along and giving you tips, and pretty much in that prologue teaching you how to operate the game. So straight off the bat, we're starting on a cool mission, and then you know, the first things that I can really see is the characters and the way they feel, and you know, it's believable, and you get that buy-in from people because the characters act like they, you know, would in real life, which is awesome. And being able to change your dialogue to certain situations and kind of manipulate the way you go about the game, I think is pretty cool. It does have a clear cut like direction it wants to take you, though. If you're picking the yellow text, for instance, obviously that's going to progress you throughout the mission or story. So that was pretty cool, and I found like the first mission really linked in well with, you know, setting the tone of the game and introducing you to one of your buddies. And yeah, this mission goes on without a hitch, and well, actually, I lie, it doesn't go without a hitch. You try to steal a car and you get busted, but it's a nice looking car. And then this is where you get introduced to one of the other main players, which Cyberpunk have already showcased, and off the bat I love the way that the characters set out. It was pretty cool, and it shows a little cutscene with you two kind of developing pretty much about an hour in. It was actually a pretty cool little cutscene. Now they do this cutscene for all three of the different life paths, and it's pretty much the same cutscene, just with, you know, the different characters that you put in. But it's a pretty cool way to introduce you know, yourself to the game, and no, I really enjoyed it. Now, what else did we kind of dive deep into in the first 2 hours? From there, we kind of went on to now this is optional if you want to you know, hit this area where you want to learn how to use the weapons, how to do stealth kills, how to hack, stuff like that, like tutorials. And because this was my first life path, which was the street kids, I did go through the tutorials, which would have tuned up a little bit of time, but you know, it was good to kind of get the feel of the game and how to operate and that sort of thing. But I think they'd done the tutorials quite well, and you know, they didn't kind of force it on you. They put up a screen where they said, you know, you can skip this if you want, you can only do certain other aspects if you want, and you can return to it. So I think they've done that quite well into building yourself into the game. So yeah, I mucked around with the tutorials for quite a little bit. I done all four of them just to kind of get the feel and the way that the game operates, especially, you know, the gunplay. I kind of got myself around. I'm one of those brawlers who just goes straight in and just shoots up the place, but you know, the hacking was a real useful tool for me to learn, because it was different, and it took me a little bit to kind of get used to it. But that's why they have those tutorials, right? So they can teach you and kind of get you prepared, because certain missions you actually need these skills to hack certain stuff to progress in the mission, which I think is pretty cool, because some of these missions, I feel you know, they do have depth in them straight off the first couple of missions. Now, all the three life paths, they have the same missions, so don't worry. This is more you know, telling you how I felt on my first 2 hours on the street kid sort of area. So once I finished my tutorials, I was then thrusted back into Night City, and then I had a little wander and a little bit of gameplay with the vehicles, which I thought, you know, the vehicles are a little bit I guess too smooth. You kind of drifting all like, and too sensitive, drifting all over the place, and it's kind of, I mean, it's not hard, it seems familiar. It's like a, I guess, Grand Theft Auto sort of thing, but a little bit more sensitive. And you know, you've got your main soul car, and as the street kid, you know, you're just invested into the streets of Night City, which is important because there's a lot of different range of people, and you do need those smarts, I feel, as the street kid. But overall, in regards to how they operate, that sort of thing, it is pretty solid. If you like kind of more of a gangster sort of feel, you're one of those characters who likes to start off from the bottom and make their way up to the top, get that street cred, which I feel like is important in this life path, then I think that this class is for you. If you're that typical, you just want to just get in there, start from the bottom, be fresh, want to build that name from the ground up, then the street kid area is definitely, I think, is a good way to go. Now, pumping into some other stuff, so I did spend just over, I was about 2.5 hours pumping through, but I did have a good sense of just my expectation for Night City was just absolutely blown away. And the different stuff that you can do, like you don't have to just stick to the sole main missions, like venture off into the streets, enjoy the streets, because there's so many different little tasks that you can miss if you just drive on past. Definitely go around and have a look at picking up all these different items that are scattered throughout the city. Go have a look at the people, really get that connection and enjoy just driving around or walking around and just taking in the environment, because the city is absolutely done up beautifully. It's very colourful, it's very nightlifey. You kind of just want to soak it in, especially at night, with all the different colours and just the atmosphere. And the customization for, let's just say, the character is quite up there in terms of getting all this tech that you can put in your body. I have only scratched the surface of what you can do, but I can already feel like it's going to be huge. So yeah, and as well as the character, spending the points on body, reflexes, technical ability, intelligence, or cool. You just open up each section, and then there's just tabs of all these perks that you can upgrade. So really take time in picking the best perks for your ability. So and that comes down to picking different builds. And those different builds can be made up of we're talking about leveling up here, but like the cool, for instance, the self-control, willpower, improves stealth and speed at which people notice you, increases critical hit damage. So like you can pair up different attributes and skills to make certain builds. Like the technical ability is like obviously grants armor, increases chance of craftable loot, that sort of thing. Intelligence is like reduces hacking, difficulty levels, reflexes, speed, increases critical hit, attack speed, increase evasiveness. Body is physical power, improves health, reduces bullet spread. Like all that sort of stuff is pretty cool and very customizable, and the progression it just blows my mind. Now I think that kind of does it for us for the first 2 hours. I could keep harping on, but the overall scheme of things is the story is very, very detailed. The life path, as I'm going to say, if you like starting from the bottom, building yourself up, building that street cred, getting everyone to notice you and really, proving a point, then the street kid is the life path for you. And yeah, I've fully enjoyed it so far for this first 2 hours, and yeah, definitely stick around and check out the other life path videos that I will be doing for the Nomad and the Corporate, because I've done 2 hours of each of those gameplays as well. So I'll kind of deep dive into some other aspects of the game, and deep dive into their story aspects in those videos. So hopefully you've enjoyed that. I'll also do another video which combines all three, and then I'll let you know what one I'll be sticking to and playing for the rest of the game. But apart from that, thank you very much. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe button, bell notification, hit a comment down below if you've already started playing and what life path you've chosen. But thank you for listening. That is Knightsman now. Cha-ching.